Getting older comes with its fair share of challenges. Your energy isn't what it used to be, your digestion isn't as strong, and cooking fresh meals every single day. That can feel exhausting. On top of that, food waste becomes a bigger problem. You buy fresh produce, hoping to eat healthier, but before you know it, it's gone bad, and you're throwing away money. But what if I told you that your freezer could be the secret weapon to solving all of this? Yes, your freezer. Not just for storing leftovers, but for actually making your food healthier, easier to digest, and last longer. There are certain foods that don't just stay fresh when frozen, they actually become even better for your body. More nutrients, better digestion, and less food waste. All with one simple trick. Stick with me, because today I'm revealing the unexpected foods that become healthier when frozen. And trust me, you're going to want to start doing this right away. 1. Bananas. The secret to a healthier gut and balanced blood sugar. Bananas are a favorite among seniors. They're soft, easy to digest, and packed with potassium, which helps maintain healthy blood pressure. But here's something that most people don't realize. Freezing bananas actually makes them better for your health. Why? Because of resistant starch. When bananas are still slightly green, they contain a special type of fiber called resistant starch. This starch slows digestion, prevents blood sugar spikes, and acts as a prebiotic, feeding the good bacteria in your gut. But as bananas ripen, that resistant starch turns into sugar, making them less beneficial for blood sugar control. However, freezing stops that process, preserving more of the resistant starch, meaning you get the benefits of a firmer banana, even if it's fully ripe when you eat it. This is especially important for seniors who want to manage blood sugar levels and maintain gut health. A healthier gut can boost immunity, improve digestion, and even reduce inflammation linked to conditions like arthritis and dementia. And don't worry, frozen bananas are delicious. Blend them into smoothies, mash them into oatmeal, or even make a simple one-ingredient banana ice cream. You'll enjoy a naturally sweet treat while reaping real health benefits. But bananas aren't the only fruit that transforms in the freezer. Up next, I'll share a fruit that actually becomes more powerful against aging when frozen. Don't miss it. 2. Blueberries. Freezing unlocks their anti-aging superpowers. You already know that blueberries are one of the best brain foods out there. They're packed with antioxidants that fight inflammation, protect memory, and even help reduce the risk of Alzheimer's. But here's what most people don't realize. Freezing them actually makes them even more powerful. Why? Because the cold breaks down the berry's cell walls, making it easier for your body to absorb the antioxidants inside. That means you get even more of their brain-boosting, heart-protecting benefits from frozen blueberries than you would from fresh ones. For seniors, this is huge. As we age, our bodies naturally experience more oxidative stress, which can lead to everything from memory decline to joint pain. Blueberries help fight that, but frozen ones do it even better. And the best part? They last months in the freezer without losing their nutritional value. Toss them into oatmeal, blend them into a smoothie, or just eat them straight from the bag like little frozen treats. Now, blueberries are great for brain health, but up next, there's a frozen food that works wonders for your bones, joints, and even your skin. If you're dealing with stiff joints or thinning hair, you'll want to hear this. 3. Bone broth. If you've ever woken up with stiff joints, aching knees, or noticed that your skin is losing elasticity, bone broth might be the most powerful natural remedy you're missing. It's packed with collagen, gelatin, and essential minerals that support joint health, improve skin elasticity, and even promote gut health. But here's the thing. Fresh bone broth doesn't last long, and making it takes forever. Simmering bones for 12, even 24 hours just to get a few servings. That's a commitment. And if you store it in the fridge, it only stays fresh for a few days before it starts to go bad. That's why freezing it is the best way to preserve its nutrients and make it more convenient. Instead of drinking old, stale broth or constantly making new batches, you can freeze bone broth in ice cube trays, silicone muffin tins, or small containers. That way, you'll always have fresh, nutrient-packed servings ready to go. And here's something most people don't realize. Freezing actually helps maintain the gelatin structure in bone broth. That means when you defrost it, you're still getting all the benefits of collagen and minerals at full strength. Unlike store-bought versions that are often watered down or full of preservatives, your homemade frozen broth retains all of its original healing properties. So if you want stronger joints, smoother skin, and a simple way to fight aging from the inside out, Stop relying on store-bought broth and start keeping your own frozen supply of this liquid gold. And speaking of preserving nutrients, what if I told you there's a way to freeze one of the most powerful muscle-saving foods in a way that keeps it fresh for months? Up next, I'll reveal how to stock your freezer with an essential protein source that will help keep your strength as you age. 4. Cottage cheese. Freezing it keeps it fresh without ruining the texture. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Cottage cheese? Frozen? Won't it turn into a weird watery mess? That's what most people assume. But here's the truth. Freezing cottage cheese actually preserves its protein and nutrients while keeping it fresh for months. And with the right method, you can avoid the texture issues altogether. Cottage cheese is one of the best protein sources for seniors. It's high in casein protein, which digests slowly, helping to maintain muscle mass, boost metabolism, and keep you full longer. It's also packed with calcium, supporting bone health as you age. The problem? It spoils fast. An open container in the fridge only lasts about a week before it starts to smell sour and turn watery. That's wasted money, wasted food, and wasted nutrition. Here's the trick. If you plan to eat cottage cheese as is, freezing isn't the best option. But if you use it in cooking or baking, like in pancakes, smoothies, lasagnas, or casseroles, it's a game changer. Freezing does slightly alter the texture, but when blended into dishes, you won't even notice the difference. How to freeze it properly. Divide it into small portions in airtight containers or freezer bags. If you want the best texture when thawed, stir in a bit of cream or milk after defrosting to bring back the creaminess. Use frozen cottage cheese within 3 months for the best taste and quality. By keeping cottage cheese in your freezer, you'll always have a quick, protein-packed ingredient on hand without worrying about it spoiling in the fridge. 5. Cooked beans and lentils. Stop wasting time. Cooking them from scratch, cooking beans and lentils from scratch is healthier, cheaper, and tastier than using canned ones. But let's be honest, it's also a hassle. The soaking, the boiling, the waiting, it takes hours. And when you're hungry, the last thing you want to do is sit around waiting for a pot of beans to soften. That's why freezing cooked beans and lentils is a total game changer. Instead of constantly relying on canned beans loaded with sodium and preservatives, you can cook a big batch once and freeze them in portions. No more last-minute grocery store runs, no more wasted money on canned goods, and no more settling for mushy, over-processed beans. Just grab a portion from the freezer and you're ready to go. Freezing cooked beans and lentils saves time, saves money, and is much healthier. When you buy dry beans in bulk, you get far more for your money compared to canned versions. Plus, when you cook them yourself, you control the salt and seasoning, avoiding the excess sodium found in store-bought cans. Another bonus, freezing actually helps break down some of the hard-to-digest fibers in beans, making them easier on your stomach, something that's especially important as we age. So how do you do it? It's simple. First, cook your beans or lentils as usual, making sure they stay slightly firm instead of turning mushy. Once they're cooked, drain and let them cool completely. Then, portion them into freezer bags or airtight containers, about 1 to 1.5 cups per bag. This equals a standard can size. Adding a little cooking water or broth helps keep them from drying out. Finally, label them with the date and pop them in the freezer. They'll stay fresh for up to 3 months. When you're ready to use them, you don't even need to thaw them. Just toss them straight into soups, stews, or sauces, and they'll warm up perfectly. If you prefer, you can also let them defrost in the fridge overnight and use them as you normally would. Now that we've covered a simple way to have protein-packed meals ready in seconds, let's move on to something even more essential. 6. Bread. Stop wasting money on stale loaves. Have you ever opened a loaf of bread only to find it's already stale? Or worse, growing mold? For seniors, this happens all too often. You buy a loaf, have a few slices, and before you know it, the rest goes bad before you can finish it. And with the rising cost of groceries, throwing away bread feels like throwing away money. That's why freezing your bread is the best way to keep it fresh for weeks instead of days. It prevents waste, saves money, and ensures you always have fresh bread on hand without emergency trips to the store. Now, some people might think freezing bread makes it dry or taste off, but that's only true if you do it wrong. If you freeze it the right way, it will taste just as fresh as the day you bought it. Here's the trick. Instead of tossing the whole loaf into the freezer, slice it first. That way, you can take out exactly what you need without defrosting the entire thing. Wrap it tightly in plastic wrap or aluminum foil to prevent freezer burn. Then place it in a freezer bag, squeezing out as much air as possible. When you're ready to eat it, you don't even need to wait for it to thaw. Just pop a frozen slice straight into the toaster, and it will come out warm and crisp, just like fresh toast. If you need a whole loaf for sandwiches, let it defrost at room temperature inside the bag to retain moisture. Freezing bread isn't just about convenience, it's also about quality. If you love artisan or bakery bread but can't finish a whole loaf in time, freezing lets you enjoy those fresh, high-quality breads without waste. And if you find a great deal at the store, buy extra and freeze them. You'll always have fresh bread ready when you need it. But did you know this same method works for rice too? Instead of cooking a new batch every time, you can freeze cooked rice to have it ready in minutes. Let's talk about that next. 7. Cooked rice and pasta. The secret to instant fresh meals. Cooking rice or pasta every day can feel like a chore, especially when you're only cooking for yourself. You stand at the stove, wait for the water to boil, and then deal with the cleanup afterward, all for just 1 or 2 servings. And let's be honest, sometimes you just don't have the energy for that. But what if I told you that you never have to cook rice or pasta from scratch again? At least not every single time. The secret? Freezing it. Most people don't realize that both rice and pasta freeze beautifully, and the best part? They reheat in just minutes, tasting as fresh as the day you made them. Here's how it works. For rice, cook it as you normally would, then let it cool completely. Spread it out on a baking sheet to prevent clumping, then portion it into freezer bags or containers. When you're ready to eat, just pop it in the microwave with a damp paper towel, and in less than 2 minutes, you'll have hot, fluffy rice without the weight. For pasta, cook it slightly under al dente. This prevents it from becoming mushy when reheated. Toss it with a little olive oil to keep it from sticking, then store it in portioned freezer bags. When you're ready, just drop the frozen pasta into boiling water for 30-60 seconds, or reheat it in a sauce. And here's something that makes this trick even better for seniors. It reduces food waste. How many times have you cooked too much rice or pasta and ended up throwing some away? Instead of wasting leftovers, just freeze them for another meal. Plus, this is a lifesaver for days when cooking feels like too much work. Whether you need a quick lunch or a last-minute dinner, having pre-cooked rice or pasta in the freezer means no stress, no mess, and no long wait times. Just heat, serve, and enjoy. And if you're wondering what other pantry staples can be frozen to make life easier, you'll love what's coming next. 8. Garlic. Freezing it unlocks more nutrients and saves you time. Did you know that freezing garlic can actually help preserve its most powerful health benefits? Garlic is packed with sulfur compounds that support heart health, strengthen the immune system, and even help reduce inflammation. But here's the thing. These compounds start to break down the longer garlic sits at room temperature. Freezing locks in those nutrients, so you get all the health benefits every time you use it. But that's not the only reason you should freeze your garlic. It also saves you time and effort in the kitchen. Let's be honest, peeling and chopping garlic every time you cook can be frustrating, especially when your hands don't feel as steady as they used to. And if you don't use it fast enough, those bulbs start drying out, sprouting, or even going bad. People discovered this trick during lockdowns. This little-known freezing hack became a lifesaver for many people during the COVID-19 lockdowns. With grocery trips limited, people had to find ways to make their food last longer without sacrificing nutrition. That's when many home cooks, especially seniors who couldn't risk frequent store visits, realized freezing garlic was a game changer. They found that by freezing whole cloves, minced garlic, or even roasted garlic, they could extend its shelf life for months without losing flavor or health benefits. What started as a survival tactic during lockdown has now become a smart kitchen habit that people swear by. How to freeze garlic the right way. Whole cloves. Simply peel the cloves and toss them in a freezer bag. When you need one, just take it out and chop or grate it straight into your dish. No thawing required. Pre-minced garlic. Mince or puree. A whole batch of garlic, then freeze it in an ice cube tray with a little olive oil. Pop out a cube whenever you need garlic, and it will melt right into your pan. Roasted garlic. Love that deep, mellow flavor? Roast a few heads of garlic, mash them up, and freeze them in small portions. This is perfect for spreading on bread, mixing into mashed potatoes, or stirring into sauces. No more wasting garlic, no more last-minute grocery runs, and no more struggling with tiny cloves when your hands just don't want to cooperate. And best of all, every meal gets a boost of garlic's powerful, heart-healthy nutrients without any effort. But while freezing certain foods can save you time, money, and even boost nutrition, not everything belongs in the freezer for long. In fact, some foods lose their texture, flavor, and even their health benefits the longer they sit in deep freeze. Up next, let's talk about the foods you should never keep in your freezer too long and why holding onto them might be doing more harm than good. 1. Leafy greens, like lettuce and spinach. Why freezing them too long drains their nutrients. Many people assume freezing is the ultimate way to preserve food, but not everything holds on to its health benefits in the freezer, especially leafy greens like lettuce, spinach, and arugula. While these greens are packed with vitamin C, vitamin K, and folate, freezing them for extended periods causes ice crystals to break down their cell walls. This not only turns them into a slimy, unusable mess, but also significantly reduces their vitamin content, especially vitamin C, which is highly sensitive to cold storage. This is crucial for seniors because vitamin C supports your immune system, and vitamin K helps prevent bone fractures, both of which become more important as you age. So what's the solution? Instead of freezing delicate greens whole, try blanching and freezing them in small portions for soups and smoothies. Or better yet, store them fresh and consume them regularly to get the most out of their nutrients. Coming up next, the surprising reason why freezing fried foods for too long makes them less healthy than you think, and what happens to those healthy fats you thought you were saving. Stay tuned. 2. Fried foods. Why freezing them too long turns them into a health hazard. We all love a crispy, golden brown snack every now and then, but if you're freezing fried foods for months, you might be in for a surprise. While freezing can prevent bacterial growth, it doesn't preserve everything equally, especially the oils used in frying. Over time, the oils in fried foods start breaking down, leading to a process called oxidation. This doesn't just make your food taste stale, it also creates harmful compounds that may increase inflammation and contribute to heart disease. For seniors, heart health is a top priority, and eating oxidized fats can do more harm than good. Instead of keeping frozen fried foods for months, try to consume them within a few weeks. And if you want a healthier alternative, consider air frying fresh ingredients instead of relying on frozen fried snacks. Next up, a common breakfast food that loses its muscle-boosting benefits the longer it sits in the freezer. You'll want to check your freezer after hearing this one. 3. Frozen eggs. When freezing ruins their protein power. Eggs are often called the perfect protein, packed with essential nutrients that support muscle strength, brain function, and overall health, which is why they're a staple for many seniors. But here's the issue. Freezing whole eggs can actually ruin their structure and diminish their nutritional value over time. When eggs freeze, the water content inside expands, causing the egg whites and yolks to become rubbery and grainy once thawed. More importantly, freezing alters the protein structure, making it less effective in supporting muscle retention and energy levels, which is especially crucial as we age. If you want to freeze eggs, the right way is to beat them first and store them in small portions. This prevents the yolks from becoming gummy and helps maintain their nutritional quality. But even then, fresh eggs will always be the better choice for getting the full health benefits. Coming up next, a food that many people freeze for convenience, but if kept for too long, it can actually weaken your immune system instead of nourishing it. Let's talk about it. Bonus coffee beans and ground coffee. Freezing destroys the flavor and aroma. For many seniors, a warm cup of coffee is an essential part of the morning routine, a comforting ritual that starts the day on the right note. But if you've been storing your coffee beans or ground coffee in the freezer, thinking it keeps them fresher, I have some surprising news for you. Freezing coffee can actually ruin its rich flavor and aroma. Here's why. Coffee is highly porous, meaning it easily absorbs moisture and odors from the freezer. Every time you take it out, condensation can form on the beans, stripping away the flavorful oils that give coffee its depth. Over time, this leads to a flat, stale taste, the opposite of what you want from a good cup of coffee. And for ground coffee, the situation is even worse. Once coffee is ground, it loses freshness much faster because more surface area is exposed to air and moisture. Freezing won't stop this process. It just makes the coffee taste dull and lifeless even faster. For the best tasting coffee, Store whole beans in an airtight container at room temperature, away from heat, light, and moisture. If you want to extend their shelf life, buy in smaller batches and grind only what you need. That way, every cup you brew is fresh, aromatic, and full of flavor. Your freezer can be one of the most powerful tools in your kitchen if you use it the right way. As we've seen, some foods thrive when frozen, retaining their nutrients, texture, and flavor far better than if they were left sitting in the fridge or pantry. But on the other hand, some foods don't belong in the freezer at all, no matter how tempting it is to try and extend their shelf life. By knowing what to freeze and what to avoid, you're not just saving food, you're saving money, timias, and even your health. No more wasted groceries, no more disappointing meals, and no more guesswork when it comes to what's actually good for you. Now, I have a challenge for you. Take a look inside your freezer today. Are there items in there that shouldn't be? Are you missing out on foods that should be frozen? Making a small change today could mean better meals, less waste, and an easier, healthier way of eating. And if you found this helpful, you won't want to miss the next video, where I'll reveal even more surprising food storage tricks, ones that will make your kitchen run smoother than ever. So don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because when it comes to food, knowledge is power, and now you have it.